If anybody in Minnesota or Florida knows where to find Timothy Holmseth, even if you claim to be one of his friends, we will give you, well, not me, I'm not involved, but others, we'll give you $5,000. Here you go.
They're encouraging people to fill out these documents. Don't fill anything out. And if somebody comes for your children, you got a Second Amendment. Use it. Use your Second Amendment. It's your right under the Constitution of the United States. And there is no right by any government agency licensed with the state or not to come and take your children from you. Kidnapping is against the law.
Are you allowed to see your children?
Because
you know what, Timothy? The last time I saw you with one of your children, it was when they were 7 years old, and it was a little boy that you had strangely dressed up as John Panay Ramsey when you had your arm around his shoulder with a big, bizarre, and frankly, one of the creepiest fucking grins I've ever seen written right upon your stupid ass face. So I'm just, I'm just wondering why you believe that you should be allowed around children.
Doesn't matter if they dress up.
Didn't you also write a book about, tortured and murdered children where you graphically describe the demons eating and ripping the children apart in your book? But we're supposed to believe that you're the one who's against the evil people like, Tom Hanks, because as we all know, Tom Hanks is one of the most evil motherfuckers around. But the guy who writes books about torturing and ripping children apart and eating them, who took a picture of himself with his own son with his arm around him while he's dressed up as John Panay Ramsey at 7 years old, we're supposed to believe you're the good guy. Well, I don't. Anyway, if anybody wants $5,000 and happens to know where this piece of shit is, just pay close attention to this video, okay, guys?
Like a cop. Doesn't matter if they dress up like a sheriff's deputy. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. Doesn't fucking matter. Kidnapping is against the law in the United States. You can't just write down on a piece of paper, oh, this guy over here wrote on this piece of paper that I get to take your baby. Fuck you. You got a Second Amendment. Kidnapping is against the law in the United States.
The word is quickly spreading that Navy SEALs and U.S. Marines executed a rescue mission in California, where special operators stormed deep state underground bases and bunkers and rescued 2,100 children from their torture chamber cages in what can only be described as hell on earth. I reported on the operation yesterday, and I am now being flooded.
Just so everyone knows, this dirty piece of shit, about 10 years ago, I don't even know the exact timeline, but he attacked and fascinated himself with and attached to a lawyer on a case regarding child abuse that for whatever reason he became strangely obsessed with and would send her sexual messages and all kinds of weird shit that she was not responding to and which she was creeped out by. And so he has spent the duration of his life since then doing everything he can to drag her under the bus because she was not interested in his bizarre, disgusting sexual fantasies, to the point where he's actually gotten Field McConnell, who's let's just give him the benefit of the doubt, say he has dementia, and he's an old man who glommed onto this and let Tim and various other nefarious villains stay in his house for a brief duration of time. He's dragged other people into this drama in order to attack this innocent person simply because she wasn't receptive to his perverse sexual fantasies involving murdered children. So the courts have repeatedly decided that he is in fact a criminal and a stalker, and the last time he was due to appear in court, he decided to no-show, and there's been a warrant out for his arrest ever since. Well, now, since that warrant's not enough, for anyone who does know where this piece of shit is, and I'm sure a lot of you little dirty cunts out there who are pretending to be his friend would love to have $5,000 for simply turning him in, you can turn Tim in and get $5,000 reward. All you have to do is prove that your tip led to his arrest. It's very simple. So, anyway, I feel like I'm doing a bit of a community service here, so I'm just going to let this play out, and then we'll get to the next segment.
With operations, with questions about the task force. So the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force is a joint operation of law experts.
First off, you were told to stop using the word Pentagon in your name. This was a long time ago, you fucking asshole. They said, you don't work for us, you don't work for the Pentagon, and for you to go around proclaiming that you work for the Pentagon as a part of the Pentagon pedophile task force is in fact a federal crime. And for whatever reason, maybe because you're a white piece of shit who supports Trump, they decided to let you go, which, by the way, legally leaves your name to be the pedophile task force, which I find to be absolutely fucking hilarious. But either way, you do not work for the Pentagon, and they're on record as having asked you to stop using that name. So I hope that when the warrant is collected against you, and when one of your dirty little rat friends turns against you in order to get that $5,000 that they need because they're a dirty piece of white trash who smokes a lot of crack and needs to get high all the time, and $5,000 goes a long way when you're a shitty piece of crack. Well, shitty piece of crack. Boy, I'm speaking way too fast. I need to slow down a little bit. I'm drinking too much, too. But either way, Timmy, I just hope you enjoy what's going to come. Because I really hope that the federal government decides to prosecute you, in addition to you, for violating these restraining orders and having warrants issued for your arrest. I hope that the federal government decides to prosecute you for posing as a federal officer, which you are so very obviously fucking doing.
Legal professionals, certain elected leaders, investigators, media, digital soldiers.
I love, too, that people who are federal officers have local police jurisdictions in multiple states issuing arrest warrants for them. That totally seems legit.
And prayer teams who are operating in conjunction with American military special operators that are conducting special operations directly under the Trump administration.
Right. You're part of that, right?
While some of the task force are in the media and very visible, much of the critical strategies and anti-pedophile operations are being executed by the American military.
So weird. All the people who worship Timmy and believe that he's somehow helping stop the pedophile human trafficking syndrome that I guess all of these QAnon idiots believe is part of what's really happening in the world. It's really strange how when they see a video or a photo of Timothy Holmseth with his hand around his 7-year-old son who is dressed up in drag, not only as a woman, but specifically in clothing that resembles that of John Panay Ramsey, will continue to just ignore it like it never happened and just pretend that it's not something that's really good there. But it is there. And we've all seen it, and you can all pretend that it's not there, but what it really reveals about all of you who worship this sadistic piece of shit who victimized his own son is that you have absolutely no problem with actual predators. The only thing you have a problem with is people that you don't like, who you have absolutely no problem with calling predators. Like Tom Hanks, or Barack Obama, or any number of liberal Democrats, or just generally liberal or centrist people that you don't like, even some Republicans. You have no problem lobbying this heinous accusation at any of these people when the very person who's supplying you with this nonsense and feeding you this bullshit is someone who, again, appeared on a fucking photo with holding his arm around his 7-year-old son who was dressed up not only as a woman, but as John Panay fucking Ramsey. And you pretend it didn't happen. So you can go ahead and throw your stones at all of these people who society has absolutely no reason to be upset with, while you worship someone who, by every estimation of a logical person, had at least psychologically abused his own child. If not literally. Who knows about that? But I'm just saying, you cannot pretend to have the moral high ground when this man is your fucking hero. And the best thing you could do if you do know him, even if you have defended him and made yourself into a piece of shit by defending him, is turn him in, because $5,000 is $5,000 fucking dollars. So turn this sack of shit in, pat yourself on the back, because at least for once in your pathetic life you did the right fucking thing, and because you got yourself $5,000 richer for turning in this fucking sack of shit who abused his own child, at the very least psychologically. So anyway, there you go, Timmy Holmseth. $5,000, you can turn him in, you can not turn him in, but do whatever you want. I would suggest you turn him in. In the meantime, I'll be right back.